Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Nolf Bites, talking football with the gang here at Nolf Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fairmont City, Pennsylvania. Get on over. Something like 0% financing maybe on some Jeeps or something like that.
Yeah, there's 0% on some Compasses and Wagoneers, 0% for 36 months. So good interest rates we haven't seen in a while.
Time to get over and get a new vehicle. Good time to get a new vehicle. Winter's coming. Get something that's going to go well in the snow. Not that we get a lot of snow anymore, but we do get a little bit still. So pretty good to go. Anyhow, we're here at Nolf Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram here in Fairmont City, and I'm Chris Rossetti. I'm alongside Andy Byers and the defensive coordinator for the Red Bank Valley Bulldogs, Ronnie Geist. In case he was trying to hide from that. His team only gave up 66 on Saturday afternoon. It's okay, Ronnie. We still love you.
I have to put part of that blame on Jason. If you can't score 66 points and win, how are you going to declare yourself the wizard? You know,
the offense put up 500 yards, Ronnie.
I think it's okay if you average the losses over the last 3 or 4 years.
we did find out that Gator likes dog meat, at least on Saturday. It was a beatdown. Port Allegheny, they made a statement. I mean,
high risk, high reward.
Yeah, they made a statement. There's no question. They came out and they pounded Red Bank Valley. For those of you who missed it, 66-38. Now the game got a little out of hand. We don't want to take too much on him because there was a special teams touchdown, there was a defensive touchdown, so it wasn't all 66 being scored. But what an impressive performance! I know you don't want to necessarily look at it that, but what an impressive performance by Port Allegheny. Didn't have a third down until the fourth quarter, and when you're running the football and you do that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, what they average like 12 yards a carry.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah, that was it, guys. These two guys are a little still. They're still licking the wounds a little bit. They're Red Bank guys. Me, I'm just a football fan deep down, and it was when I see something like that, it was old school, and it's. I know for you guys, it's a little bit that you don't like to talk about that, but it is nice to see a team just line up and play smash mouth football, isn't it?
It is.
When it's not you.
Yeah. It depends which side of that ball you're on. But, I mean, I'm interested to see or to hear what it was like in the stands when that was happening, because I know what it was like in the booth.
Aiden Bliss is a handful, guys. I mean, 215. He'd be on the offensive line for most teams in Class A, not running the ball. And he was physical, real physical.
Yeah. Kudos to him. I mean, there were times that we had 2 people on him. He just pushes them away and keeps going. I mean,
what did he wrestle? 175?
175. Then I think he got up. What's right after 175? Like 189. So, I mean, I know he'll cut weight. In fact, funny that you asked that, because Rich Rhodes and I were at Moe's Bar and Grill in Port Allegheny after. By the way, guys, best hamburgers in District 9, maybe.
They stamp them.
They do. They do stamp them, and the burgers themselves are just fantastic. I had the Unholy Trinity. It has like chorizo sausage, like bacon and ground meat in it, and then you top it with a slice of bacon, and just a fantastic burger.
Drove 2 hours home.
Yeah, well, but yeah, we're okay.
But I bet my 2 hours were longer than your 2 hours.
I guess your 2 hours are longer than mine. Mine was more like an hour and 45. But that Bliss kid, he's a heck of a runner, and yet he wasn't even our player of the week. Is just announced here, I think. Hold on,
Kaiser wasn't.
Yeah, so yeah, that was announced at 3:00. Tristan Kaiser, he had 5 touchdowns in that game. Not to be outdone, Braylon Wagner threw for 415 yards. If you liked offense, that was the place to be. I mean, Andy, from a fan standpoint, and I get that like the team you're rooting for doesn't win, but still, there are a lot of offense. If you like offense, it was the place to be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there was a lot of points put up, and one rushing, one passing, so it was kind of cool to see it from that angle, not just one-sided one way or the other. And then I think, was it 2 years ago we played up there.
Yeah, it was 8-7 2
Yeah,
years ago.
complete opposite
It was complete.
last time.
Yeah, complete opposite. The last time Red Bank made the trip up there.
That was Braylon's first career start.
Yeah, it was. How long did it take you guys to get up there?
About 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which way did you guys go?
I went through Marionville and up through Route 6. Is that Route 6?
Yeah, it's a nice drive. Nice to drive when the leaves start to turn. You like to drive when the leaves start to turn. It's actually it's a pretty cool drive when the leaves start to turn. I came down from Marionville today. I was in Marionville before the show, and that's a nice drive down. What is it, 949 and all that. Although I saw, I think, one deer, but the poor deer didn't look like it had eaten in like 6 months. Like you could actually see his ribs. It was like, wow, what's going on there?
Well, Andy brought a souvenir home with him.
What'd you do?
Yeah, I got a warning on the way home.
Got a warning on the way home.
Yeah.
How fast were you going?
I was doing 71 and a 55.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Where?
Right outside of, I came through Emporium.
Oh,
And my youngest son had a football game at 6 o'clock. And we were trying to get back to that game down here on the field.
went
and,
through Emporium. Oh,
yeah, there's a little Sheets. It's real weird because
in Emporium.
Yeah,
it's
like
about to close.
it's one of them old style Sheets.
It's about to close. I'm serious. They're closing it. I know you never hear Sheets closing, right, guys? They're closing that Sheets. It's like done in like either the end of this month or the end of November, and then they're not even sure where the volunteer fire department and the police officers and all that. They don't know where anyone's going to get gas.
Well, it is kind of, now that you said that, I can see it. Doesn't look like, it's not in an optimal location. Kind of sits on a back alley and all.
Yeah, and it looks like it's 1985 still.
But anyway,
But you feel bad for them. Yeah, what do you do without a Sheets?
that's a good question. We don't have a Sheets, but
No,
we have a Burger King.
yeah, you have a Burger King at least,
That's not that.
and you have a couple of gas stations. I mean, they don't even. I mean, there was a point in time when Emporium had one of those gas station / Pizza Hut / Kentucky Fried Chicken or something. I mean, Port Allegheny doesn't have much. I mean, they got a Fox's, which is awesome. They've got Moe's, which is awesome, and then they've got Sheets.
Yeah,
that's about. Oh, the Little Red Diner. Did you guys see the Little Red Diner?
No, I didn't.
Little Red Diner on the right-hand side as you're going out of town. I always say I want to stop there, but it feels like it's a place you stop for breakfast, and I'm never actually there for breakfast. So if anybody up in Port Allegany is watching or watches this later, let me know what the Little Red Diner's like, because I'm really curious what the Little Red Diner's like, and see what's going on there. It was a weird weekend. I mean, I know both Port and Red Bank were kind of mad that they weren't playing Friday night, but probably turned out to be a good thing they weren't playing Friday night, because it was hard to play football Friday night. I was over at Keystone hoping to do Union AC Valley and Keystone, and he never even took the field to warm up. I mean, the kids never even got to go down on the field because it started lightning like 6 o'clock and never really stopped the whole night. And they canceled the game at 8:20, then played it on Saturday, which I think is better than what happened between Clarion and Brookville, where they had a long delay, then they played, then they had another long delay, and they got done. I think that game ended at 11:15 at night.
I fell asleep. I tried watching it, but the breaks were too long.
Yeah. I'm glad I wasn't broadcasting that. That's brutal. That would be just absolutely brutal, trying to figure out, what do you do? How do you fill time? Do you just let the thing go on? I don't know. But there were a bunch of games like that. And we got a couple of games we don't even know if they're getting played. Sheffield and Smethport played a quarter. They were 0-0. Game got called. Then they're like, well, we'll make the decision Monday at our AD's meeting on what to do. Don't know what's going to happen there. I do know this. Sheffield may not exist as a school after tonight. There's a school board meeting in Warren tonight, and on the agenda is the discussion to close Youngsville and Sheffield. So, I mean, they'll exist for the rest of the year, but they won't. They got bigger worries right now than a football field.
Where do they go?
yeah. Where would they go?
They would go to Warren. Yeah, it's all the same school district up there, so it's just different schools. And this has been coming, and it's looks like unless something strange happens, that looks like it's going to happen, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which viewpoint you're taking on it. But then St. Mary's and Carn City never got started, and they don't have a makeup date. And they, they're talking about week 10 because St. Mary's doesn't have a game week 10, but Carn City's supposed to play Wilmington. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there either. And then you had a bunch of games that basically went into the second quarter or halftime, and then you play half one day and half the next day. How difficult is that?
I couldn't imagine it. I mean, it's hard to get teenage kids to focus for one practice, let alone a game, half a game, and then start them back up the next day.
Just a really long halftime.
Overnight halftime.
Well, you said about Brookville and Clarion. Boys, Brookville beat up.
They had 22 kids with helmets.
And I didn't finish that game. I fell asleep, but from my understanding, they finished with a quarterback number that was like 50 or something.
Yeah, I don't know if that was because of injury or just because it was 44 nothing or whatever it was. So I think that had probably more to do with it than anything. But yeah, they only had 22 kids, and you start asking. I know we had this. I don't want to get into this. We had this discussion last week, but it goes back into that discussion last week. How tenable is it? I mean, how many kids, Ronnie, as a coach, how many kids do you feel comfortable taking the field with before it's too few?
Generally, we want 10 per grade is kind of how we look at it. Like if we can get 10 per grade, that puts us at a healthy number. That puts you somewhere around 40 for the squad.
That's including ninth grade.
Yeah, that's ninth graders included.
So say you have injuries or whatever. Like, how many kids would be too few before you guys wouldn't feel comfortable?
I coached junior high for a lot of years, and we would play junior high games with 12, 13 kids. And you're driving the bus hoping that someone doesn't twist their ankle on the way out.
Would you feel comfortable doing that in a varsity game?
I mean, that's an extreme.
Playing competitive or just playing?
Just putting them out on the field. How would you feel as a parent, Andy? Would there be a number that's too few for you to want to see your kid out there, knowing that he's not getting any rest or anything like that?
Too few. I think varsity, you want at least 20 or more.
Yeah, that's kind of, to me, 18, 19, 20 to me is like the absolute cutoff there, because you can't expect, I mean, you're just asking for somebody to get hurt if you're not able to, like, maybe strategically give a player a play off or two somewhere along the line.
But that's relatively new in the sense of getting plays off. When we played, there was no play off. You didn't get a time to come off. If you were one of the top 4 or 5 guys, you played 99% of the time. You got a break when they called timeout. Yeah. Right, wrong, or the other. I'm not in disagreement with the number of 20. I'm just saying, like, we've changed that way of thinking a little bit inside of the programs.
Yeah, well, that definitely. I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I mean, at the same time, it has changed. So kids aren't necessarily, it's easy to say, well, I played the whole game, but when the kids aren't used to playing the whole game, it's hard to ask them to play the whole game. I don't know. Like, it was funny though. Like District 10 got all their games in but one. Just the weirdness of the way that system went the other day. We ended up with a bunch of games that got played in District 10, and I think 4 of them got completed in District 9. 2 of them were way out east, Kerwinsville and Clearfield. Boy, Clearfield again. I mean, my goodness, talk about a program. When Tim Janoko retired, you had to wonder, hey, what's going to happen here? But Miles Kerrigan has stepped right in, and they just keep on mowing people down. Brady Collins, another 200-yard game for them. I've had a chance to watch him on film a little bit. He's a pretty nice player. I think anybody would take him. Another wrestler. Well, see a trend there.
You don't see very many basketball players playing running back.
No, not a ton of them. Trying to think if I can. Eli Nellis at Keystone. Noah Harrison. I don't know if Noah still plays basketball or not. I don't think he does. But yeah, you're right. You don't see a lot of them. Those are more of your outside guys, your wide receivers, things like that. Your quarterbacks. but the toughness that comes with wrestling, those guys, a lot of those guys ends up on the line and playing running back.
Yeah, it's a mentality thing. A lot of those guys understand that part of wrestling is you hate everything except when they raise your hand. so you embrace the grind.
Oh, well, guys, we're going to step aside here, take a quick break. When we come back, something fun that I kind of cooked up today. So
Let's try it.
we'll be back here on the Nolf Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram here from Nolf Chrysler, Nolf Bites. Well, one of the, it's only 3 weeks in. One of these
Let's
days,
get
I'll
Rich
get
Rhodes
it.
here. He can.
Yeah,
he
somebody
can say it
can do a bit better. Anyhow, we'll be right back.
Why should you choose Nolf Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fairmont City? Why wouldn't you choose them? At Nolf, their sales are speedy and include upfront and straightforward pricing. If it's service and parts you're after, they have skilled technicians who are factory trained while offering knowledgeable parts experts. Maybe you need Nolf's full service body shop offering top quality collision repair to all makes and models of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Or do you want to cruise the highway in a clean, shiny vehicle thanks to Nolf's detailing service? No matter your needs, Nolf Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fairmont City is there for you. Find out more at nolfchryslerdodge.com.
Whether retirement is just around the corner or years away, John Bongiovanni, Lucas Slazak, and Adam Jack of Generational Wealth Management in Erie and Bradford are here for you. John, a Forbes-recognized best-in-state wealth advisor, Lucas and Adam provide customized investment advisory solutions and retirement planning services. Generational Wealth Management offers world-class investment services and internationally recognized insurance products from Northwestern Mutual, an industry leader. The Generational Wealth Management team provides a high level of expertise and service to their professional and business clients. Contact the Erie office at 814-651-0838 or the Bradford office at 814-368-4065 or check them out online at gwm.nm.com. Back here on Nolf Bites at Nolf Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fairmont City. Over to you, Andy, for some of the great specials going on right now down here.
Well, again, they're all special, but we do have some Pacificas that are 4.9% for 72 months. So it's been a while since we've seen interest rates that low. Huge rebates on trucks up to $3,000. Plus there's some markup in there that gets discounted also. So again, Wagoneers 0% for 36 months. So there's quite a few things going on right now.
Come on down. Give Andy, Ronnie. We promise you Ronnie's better at selling cars than he is at calling defenses, but it's just this week, Ronnie. It's just this week.
Take it. You got to take it.
Ronnie's like, hey, I'm just a linebacker coach when we lose.
I'm just a helper.
Didn't do great either.
Who didn't do great?
Linebackers.
Well, Jackson came out and had like 5 tackles. Jackson Huffman had like 5 tackles right out of the gate, and then you guys decided to move him to like the edge. And maybe you should have left him where he was at.
Well, he was at safety.
Yeah, we don't need tackles from the safeties.
Better than getting no tackles.
I guess probably should have thought of that. I'll bring that up at the next meeting.
Just having a little fun with these guys down. That's what the whole purpose of this show is. Speaking of fun, so I was playing around today. I think it was last week. Maybe it was the first week. We kind of talked about. Maybe it was even on air. We talked about District 9 fantasy football.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and so I started to crunch some numbers, and you can go online and, there's like these calculators that figure out what their points were and what their points would be or something. And so came up with some stuff, and I think I can share this here. We're going to find out.
I feel like this is going to be a jab.
I'm going to share this here. Well, I think if I remove us, then I remove. Okay. So, all right, so we'll share it, and I don't know. Let's see how well this shows up. Okay, so it's showing up okay here. So we start with the quarterbacks. Now, Ronnie and Andy don't see what you're seeing out there, folks. I can see it, you can see it, but these two don't. If you guys had to take a guess, who are the top 3 quarterbacks through 3 weeks in District 9 fantasy-wise?
Ferguson,
Braylon, and probably the kid from Broadway.
You got 2 out of the 3. Jace Ferguson, week 1, 49.56. would have been his number. Week 2, 38. Week 3, Rain, they didn't really need him as much last week, only 28.68, but he still is averaging 38.75 through 3 weeks. Braylon, he had a huge week 1, 44.4. Week 2, 24, almost 25. And then last week, thanks to the 4 touchdowns and the rushing touchdown, 39.16. So he's averaging 36.18. Trey Wingard of DuBois.
Oh, he just threw for 5.
Yeah, Trey threw for 5 on Saturday on Friday night in a route of Bradford, and he comes in at an average of 24.49, and then 4. But you guys would never have gotten 4. Shane McGee of Otto Eldred.
Yeah, never.
He is averaging also. He's just 24 points. And Aiden Patton, you guys did such a good job defensively against Aiden Patton that you like limited him to 9.26 fantasy points, and that's kind of like skewed his mark because his other 2 weeks are 31.32 and then 21.48. So not bad there for him. And then okay, guys, let's go running back wise.
I'd rather not.
Believe it or not, it's not who you think.
No,
Not number 1.
Aiden Bliss.
Aiden Bliss is number 2. Hint, we talked about him earlier in the show.
Give us a hint.
Team you don't see.
I don't know. I don't remember his name.
Team that has Miles coaching them.
Clearfield.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? I don't remember that kid's name.
Brady Collins.
Brady Collins.
Brady Collins is averaging 46.57 fantasy points a game. If you go by, he had, this is unbelievable. In week 1, he had 60.9. He had like 6 touchdowns that week, but only 5 of them count towards the fantasy points for an offensive player because one of them was a return.
Oh.
So that would go, into your offense defensive thing. Followed that up with 33.3, and then this past week, 45.5. I mean, just incredible stuff. Aiden Bliss, number 2, just percentage points behind Brady Collins, 46.23 to 46.57. Don't worry, it's not just because of this week. I mean, he had 51 this week, 41 the week before, and 46 the first week. He's doing this to everybody.
Well, that makes you feel
You
better.
feel better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then number 3, Malachi Zukel of Cameron County. He's had a couple of 200-yard games.
He's number 2, right?
No, he's number 3. You mean on number? What,
Yeah,
I don't
jersey.
remember. Yeah, I don't remember what number he
I think
wears.
he's number 2.
And then
he's a
Tristan
pretty good guy.
Kaiser of Port Allegheny's in there as well. But those 3. Then wide receivers. Hey, boy, you saw a lot of these guys already this year,
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Well, Pisarcik. would
Yeah,
have to be there.
Pisarcik is 27.67. Mason Burford's 23.1. Aiden Snowberger 20.86. Logan Kohler from Bradford comes in at 19.13. Again, that's a lot to do with Talon Reese is a pretty decent quarterback. He's had a couple of games like that have been over 20 points. And then Nathan I always mispronounce his name. Nathan Coffer of DuBois at 19.83. So if we were doing a draft, we'll give since you had a bad week, Ronnie, you get the number 1 pick. Who's your pick?
Do I get any position? It's just
Any
open.
position.
I'd take Ferguson. He's going to rush and throw.
Andy, your pick now.
I'll take Wagner.
See, I'm going the running backs. I'm going Collins.
Well, then I'm taking Bliss
Yeah, that was probably pretty easy there.
because I'm going to give him points for broken tackles too.
Yeah.
I'd have to really look at schedules and competition now. Are the teams going to continue to?
I might take
Play.
Shane McGee as my quarterback just because what you just said, the schedule, he's going to put up a lot of points for that auto team. He's going to win a lot of games in Region 3.
Who's going to be down a lot and always, fighting to put points up?
Yeah, and then I'll tell you what, like it's funny, you look at it as we're going to take this off the screen now, just a little bit of fun there, but we talk about in fantasy when you're drafting your fan. I don't know. Do you play fantasy football?
I play fantasy baseball. I'm not fantasy football.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Andy?
Not so much recently, but I was always a fantasy football guy.
So, you know, in fantasy football, they're like, take wide receivers, take wide receivers, take wide receivers. In high school fantasy football, you take running backs.
Oh yeah.
Those are the guys that are scoring a lot of points. Even more so, as much as I like Jace, even more so than Jace Ferguson, those running backs just put up a boatload because they're the ones that find the end zone more often than not. You know, the passing gets you down there, but the running gets you into the end zone.
Yeah.
So just kind of an interesting take on that. You guys watch the Steeler game at all yesterday?
My cousin was actually there. He flew down.
Impressive.
Yeah, he's hardcore.
That's hardcore. That's really hardcore.
Yeah, he said there was like 2-1 Steeler fans there.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's always like that. It's just like not only because so many people moved out of Pittsburgh, but when they were good in the 70s, you know, they were on TV a lot, and you know there was couldn't watch anybody else. You could watch them, the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So
are they leading in field goals this year?
If you had their kicker,
I have their kick. Right. I have their kicker in fantasy. It was such a terrible he scored me 21 points, which is like insane for a kicker. We're in a league. I'm in a family league where we actually play 2 quarterbacks, and it looked like I was playing my dad, and it looked like I was going to crush him, and now he's beating me. Like my game. All I needed was like for Jared Goff to throw something to St. Brown in overtime last night, and they just ran the ball. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the Lions and Rams went to overtime, and the Lions ran for 70 yards in overtime. That's all they did. They just pounded it right down the Rams' throat.
How many yards did they have in that game?
Boy, that's a great question. I don't know, actually. Let's see if we can find out.
I know it started. I don't even know if it seemed like they didn't even throw a pass for like, I don't know, the first couple drives.
You saying the Lions winning, like something doesn't feel right about that. Like I know that they're obviously better, but it's just
they should have gone to the Super Bowl. Their kicker, if their coach had just kicked a couple field goals in the AFC Championship game, they would have gone to the Super Bowl last year. But I mean they've done a really nice job there. And so let's see, what did they have? A box score from that game. Team stats. Detroit had 363 total yards of offense, and that included 163 on the ground, 200 passing, and it was 387 for the Rams. So, I mean, hey, look, if you're a Steeler fan, you're just used to, like, I don't know, there's just something. I don't know. I realize that like football's about scoring points now, but there's something about the Steelers just playing great defense. They ran the ball decent. They had the long drive there. They just, couldn't score at the end of it. I would have kicked the field goal, but nobody cares what I would have done. It was interesting. I know I was sitting up in the press box there on Saturday in Port Allegheny, going, "What the heck are you doing, Penn State?" But they managed to pull it out for me. So
yeah.
I know you guys aren't big college guys, but
there needs to be a 30 for 30 on the Browns. Like, how are you successfully that terrible every year?
Think about this, okay? They traded, they got rid of Baker Mayfield to get Deshaun Watson. Is there anything more Browns than Baker Mayfield now being better than Deshaun Watson? Like, that is like the ultimate. I'd make more. Well, yeah, I'm still gonna make fun of him, even though I'm a Pirate fan. I'd make more fun of him, except I gotta like suffer through the Pirates. But it's hard in a salary cap league to screw it up as badly as they screw it up.
How are they doing it like that? Is it just that terrible from the top down?
It's rigged.
You get a meddlesome owner. And when you get meddlesome owners, a lot of times that doesn't go well. You ever notice, like, look at what happened to the Redskins under Snyder. When was the last time? I mean, the Cowboys. It's our year to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, you haven't won a Super Bowl since you beat the Steelers.
Who's the Redskins?
Oh, yeah, the Commanders. Jeez, oh, man. They'll always be the Redskins to me.
It'll get you in trouble.
People might say you're liberal, Chris. Yeah, I'm not that liberal. Indians, Redskins. Come on. Do we really have to go like to this where we got to change everybody? I mean, are we allowed to call them the Pirates, or is that like too violent?
Well, I don't know.
Depends who you ask.
I'd imagine that most people that we're talking to wouldn't like have any problem with what we're talking about.
I wouldn't think.
Well, the Pirates are another one though. That Pittsburgh is a sports town. All they have to do is be competitive on a yearly basis. Give us one chance every 5 years, 6 years.
I mean, I was there on 2013, the blackout, and I mean,
Cueto.
oh yeah, Cueto.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a football show though, guys.
My bad.
Football show. Ridgeway Red Bank this week down here. I got that game. You know, I should know what game. Oh, I know what game Brian has. We got Port Allegany and Brockway.
That'll be a good one.
Port Allegany head coach Justin Minkowski can't coach in this game for the dumbest of reasons. Nothing that he did. Like, this is how dumb it is, right? Like, he didn't even personally do anything to get thrown out of the game on Saturday. He had an assistant coach accidentally get in the way because he was excited that Kaiser was returning a kickoff for a touchdown. Got a little too close to the field official, bumped into him 15 yards, sideline infraction, and then one of his players got a little overzealous on the interception return for a touchdown by Kaiser and started running out on the field to get onto the extra point. And even though the play was over, the referee was still running. One of the referees was still running down, and he ran into him. And man, that flag couldn't have come out faster. And because it was two sideline infractions, even though neither one of them's on the head coach, the way the rules are written, the head coach is responsible for the sidelines, so the head coach gets thrown out of the game. I got to be honest, that's the first time I think I've ever seen a football coach get thrown out of a game.
Well, generally, in a sideline infraction, like I've been there, guy bumps into you as he's backpedaling or whatever. A lot of times they'll tell you like, "Hey, keep your line back, keep guys back." There's some communication, and I'm not saying I'm not speaking ill of the Port. I'm just saying like it's weird that it happened that quickly.
I was a little surprised, and then I don't completely grasp why the way the rules are written. And I'm not saying they're written that anything was enforced wrong, it's just the way they're written. I don't understand why, if there's a sideline infraction while the play is going on, why does the play still count?
It's a good question.
Well, I don't know. I mean, people sat around a table and decided maybe it wasn't enough of a violation to redo. Go ahead.
Maybe in that situation, it's not that team or the kid's fault, I guess. I mean, there's
I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way that it's enforced. I'm not sure I'm okay with the idea that every ejection is an automatic suspension. Because
I thought I heard them say, depending on the ruling, it could be
additional.
They could give you 2 games.
Yeah. So if they can roll it for 2 games, why couldn't they roll to say, in this situation, we don't need the one?
So the explanation I get from the PIAA is that they're seeing too much unsportsmanlike conduct going on. And this
wasn't unsportsmanlike.
Correct. 100% correct.
So why can't that white hat or whoever's running the referee come in and over? Yeah, hey, I know. Because if you watch that, honestly, it looked like that kid did exactly what you said. He just was sprinting out to go in for the conversion, bumped the ref. Before the ref could turn around, he threw that flag like somebody just ran him over.
Yeah, but a part of valor sometimes could help. But I mean, I don't know. I got a bigger problem. Like, if you want to throw the coach out of the game for that, go ahead, throw him out of the game. Don't suspend him for the next game. You're not doing any. You're not cleaning anything up doing that. Nothing is changed. There was the kid that ran out onto the field. The assistant coach that got bumped in. Nobody's thinking, oh boy, if I do this, the coach is going to get thrown out of the game.
Yeah,
like you're not.
Ronnie planned that.
Yeah, I mean.
It's not like Mike Tomlin.
It is. It's a little different than if like Ronnie Geist is over there. You're a son of a what to a kid and then gets flagged for it. Yeah. Like that's that, or kids doing that, or somebody spits on this. It's a different situation. Every situation should be looked at differently.
I want to hear officials' point of view.
It would be great to get that kind of feedback. I don't even think. I think in a lot of cases, if you talk to the officials in a case like this, I would imagine a lot of them would actually agree with what we're talking about. It's Mechanicsburg where the problem lies here. The insistence on punitive punishment being the way to make people more sportsmanlike. And I always argue that you're not going, in the heat of battle, you're not thinking about what the consequence is. So it's not actually doing anything.
No.
Well, just to play devil's advocate, is it possible them refs told them 6 other times?
It is. It is
100%.
100% possible that they told him to get back 6 times, and that's why they ended up flagging him. I can believe that 100%. I've been on football sidelines enough. I do know that we had a reporter at a game in Sheffield, and Sheffield got flagged because our reporter was too close to the sideline. Now, the reporter had nothing to do with Sheffield, but he was on the Sheffield sideline, and because he was too close to the field, they flagged him for that. That's a bunch of you-know-what. I mean, tell the reporter, hey, look, get back. To flag a team over that, you've got to be kidding me. Like I'll stand up and I'll say that every time, every day of the week. That is 100% wrong.
Well, I wouldn't care so much, but I truly think that's what changed the outcome of the Red Bank Port game.
You think that
Definitely, without a doubt.
the Port players were so mad that their coach got thrown out, they went out and won one for the Gipper.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
They won one for Justin.
Can we play that under protest?
Can we play that under protest? Red Bank's like, dang it, guys, did you have to throw him out of the game? We wanted him to still be in there. It turns out that we feel like his assistant. No, I'm just kidding, Justin. Assistant coaches, you know what? Give those assistant coaches a lot of credit. That's a tough situation, Ronnie. They took one of the guys in the booth. It'd been like you. Like, say Blaine gets thrown out, and now they're taking Ronnie Geist out of the booth, and now you're on the field, and you've got to run. That's what happened with Chad Saltzman. Boy, I mean, as an assistant coach, I mean, do you guys prepare for that? Has that ever been talked about?
No.
Will it be talked about now?
Well, I think level of involvement some programs have assistants that are a real integral part, and then others, maybe the head coach takes on the majority of the role. So depending on how good of a program and what they build, I think really would determine whether they're
I'd be really interested though if that conversation wasn't taking place in some coaching rooms over the last couple of days now. Like, maybe nobody thought about it prior to this, because again, I've been doing this for 26, 27 years, and I never saw a coach get thrown out of a game before. So you see it in basketball occasionally. You might see it in baseball occasionally. You never see it in football. Like, to watch the head coach walk off the field, like he had to walk off the field, it was kind of different and strange. And you know what? I give Justin Minkowski, the Port coach, a lot of credit. He, in his post-game remarks, took full responsibility. Even if it wasn't his fault, as a leader does, he took full responsibility, gains a lot of respect, I think, from everybody involved and everybody that sees that when the head coach is, even though when everybody knows maybe it wasn't his fault, hey, man, I'm the head coach. Everything that happens in the program is my fault. I think that goes a long way with your players. I think that goes a long way with your assistants. I think it goes a long way with your fan base, and I think it goes a long way with the officials too.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I've only spoke to him a few times. I mean, I'm just a peon in the grand scheme, but he talked to us before the game. He talked to us after the game. I mean, I think he runs a really good program.
He's a fantastic human being. I mean, way up there. With all due respect to Blaine, who I think is fantastic too. Justin may be my favorite coach in District 9. Blaine's probably number 2 on that list.
Blaine's probably not the favorite coach on the Red Bank staff.
Who's the favorite coach on the Red Bank staff?
I think if you let us Red Bank coaches vote, Blaine's not our favorite.
Who's the favorite? See,
Scott Toth.
It's probably Jason Huffman. I bet the kids pick Jason Huffman without a doubt.
I can see that. I like
Jason's
Huffy.
a great guy.
Yeah, Huffy's look, all the coaches are great people. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, the Brookville guy run through a freaking brick wall for Morrison at Brookville. I've known Dan Reed and Todd Smith for 30 years almost now. You start going around and there are a lot of really good guys out there, but Justin was with the program when they were really good. When Matt Bodemer, and congratulations to Matt Bodemer at Kane, got his first win, and they broke a 12-game losing streak in the process. But Justin coached Matt. Was on, I think, the defense coordinator maybe, and then became the head coach. Then stepped aside, then came back and does a fantastic job up there. And what's really awesome to see is, I mean, when they had Matt Bodemer, they were flinging the ball all over the place. Now they're basically, if they throw the ball, that was that little flip pass the other day. Talk about a program that understands you've got to adjust to the kids that you have, and that's what they do so well at Port Allegheny, is they adjust to the kids they have. Speaking of adjusting, Dan Reed's teams were never known for defense, but his teams have given up 6 points in 2 games now, last 2 games. Kudos to Union AC there for really stepping up. I didn't see the shutout of Keystone coming. I thought Keystone could score on them.
Yeah, I thought Keystone had a shot too. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I mean, the score kind of shows like Union stepped up there. But they played Ridgeway tough the week before, which, you know, we go from one team that runs the ball 60 times a game to another team that's going to run the ball.
So speaking, before we go, I want to talk about that. And I don't want you to give away any trade secrets here, but how much of a nightmare is watching film on the single wing bin?
I've done a lot of research with, you know, YouTube. I Googled a lot of stuff. It's not something you see all the time, so it's definitely something that's really hard to get ready for. It's a nightmare. It's a good offense to run.
It's really about those keys again. I did tell Larry Weiser that you had on Friday night that you'd kind of stolen some of his defensive stuff, and then you go out and give up 66 points. You might not want to.
Stole the wrong stuff.
Yeah, you stole the wrong stuff.
Well, you mentioned Todd Smith. I actually learned to run the cover 2 up from Todd Smith when we were at CL. So, I mean, I just steal stuff from anybody.
Well, that's look. If anybody who does anything half decent, stealing other people's ideas, I mean, why reinvent the wheel, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, you get to the point where people are stealing your stuff.
Hopefully.
You know, speaking of Larry Weiser, and we're getting close to the end of this today, but speaking of Larry Weiser, really cool thing happened for his brother on Saturday out at Lycoming. And, a lot of District 9, District 10 guys have gone out and played at Lycoming. His brother's been the defensive coordinator there for like 40 or 50 years. Named the locker room after him.
Oh, that's cool.
Named the locker room after him. They got this big jumbotron in the locker room, the Steve Weiser locker room, and just a really, really cool thing. Everybody knows Larry. Not everybody knows that his brother's been a heck of a small college football coach for a long time, and so that's pretty cool. Speaking of small colleges, how about Edinburgh knocking off Robert Morris the other day?
I just saw the article on the YDL, but I didn't get the chance to read it yet.
Yeah, they came up with a big upset of Robert Morris. Clarion's 2-0. Golden Eagles are 2-0. I didn't see how your Cal Vulcans did.
I don't even keep up.
Yeah, some alumni he is. Did you even graduate?
No.
Oh,
He
see
just
that.
spent some money.
He just wasted money down there, I guess. I don't know. I didn't mean to make it.
You think maybe it'll be the Blaine Gold locker room one day at Red Bank?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's not going to ever happen.
Ed Wazalowski locker room, Dave Moore locker room.
I don't think they'll name it after anybody. It'll just be
Who was
Red
better,
Bank Valley.
Dave Moore? I wasn't around when he was there. Dave Moore or Blaine Gold? Who's a better coach?
Oh, I didn't coach. I didn't play for Dave. I know the guys that played for Dave would follow him to the grave. I mean, he is, no one speaks ill of him. He brought the run and shoot to Red Bank. He kind of rejuvenated a program for sure.
Were you around when he was?
I was not. Ed Wazalowski was the head coach by the time I got here. Ed was coaching at, talk about a great group of guys that were coaching when I got here. Ed was coaching at Red Bank. Clyde Conti was at CL. Larry Weiser was at Clarion. Dan Reed was at Keystone. Ed Conto was at AC Valley. Ray Reckner was up at Brockway. Can't remember who was coaching AC or Union at the time. They went through a tough period there after Vadunas got out of coaching, where they had trouble getting that program going for a long time. So it's kind of nice to see them back being competitive. I know that's a great football area, and so it's great to see that. But it's rare to see a situation like you had here at Red Bank, where you had a great coach in Dave Moore replaced by a great coach in Ed Wazalowski, who kind of had those 2 years where Brandon Rapp, who's now the athletic director at Hempfield. Talk about a guy that's just continued to move along. And I know he's got family, his wife's from New Bethlehem, and, he's a Keystone grad, went to Derry as the athletic director, then went over to my alma mater, Norwin, and is now at Hempfield. And I've gone down there a couple times, and guys, he's got an office. It's a big time. When you're an athletic director at a 6A school in the Whitfield, that's a big time job. We should get Brandon. We should do like a
Skype.
Yeah, Skype or bring him in and see if we
Are
can
you listening, Brandon?
see if we can talk him into doing it. I've gone down a couple times and seen Brandon and done a couple stories on him over the years, but I give him a call, ask him what the difference between being at a small school, graduating from a small school, and being the athletic director at a big school and big school football and all that, and what some of the differences are. I mean, they've got press boxes that rival those at some colleges, and they're feeding people at them and the whole 9 yards. Like they're double decker type deals, and so it's a little bit of a different world, and it's not that far away really when you think about it, but it's a different world in the Whippeal than it is up here. It would be interesting to get somebody's perspective like that, but and then to follow up with Blaine, who took a team to a state championship game. I mean, Red Bank's been very fortunate in the number of good coaches they've had.
Yeah, one of the best part is I give Jason as hard a time as anyone, but I mean, to have someone as dedicated as an assistant. Most people can be dedicated as the head coach, but as an assistant, I think Blaine would tell you, having him as number 2, if Blaine gets tossed out, I don't know how they're going to get Jason out of the press box, but he's his number 2.
Well, when Frank Verischetti was coaching, I think at DuBois, he liked to coach as the head coach in the press box.
Yeah. I mean, really, within reason, the head coach can run it from up there. As long as you have a good guy on the floor, that can lead, which again, I spoke of Jason Huffman. I think Jason Huffman could easily lead that team from the sideline if Blaine would ever one day want to go to the box.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for this week's Nolf Bites. I mean, we sit here and it's like 45 minutes like that, guys. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't even feel like it, but hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Nolf Bites here from Nolf Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fairmont City. Until next week, I'm Chris Rossetti saying goodbye for Andy Byers and Ronnie Geist. Until next week, this has been Nolf Bites.